or what? What do we need to do? That's always the question, isn't it? That question could have defined our parents' and our grandparents' generations. What do we need to do to keep America from disintegrating into depression? What do we need to do to win another world war? What do we need to do to conquer the Soviets and Jim Crow? And what do we need to do not only to prepare for the last half of the 20th century, but to dominate it? But their legacy, thankfully, isn't in the questions. It's in the answers. Now, there's no doubt that fixing education in Texas is a very different challenge from those that came before. To be fair, we've been wrestling with these particular challenges for a long time. They've persisted for years, even as so many other problems have been solved. And I got to tell you, I just got to say it out loud, as tough as fascism and communism were to be, neither one of those things required someone to explain the weighted average daily attendance. We have a hard issue to deal with. But no one should look at the last 80 years and pretend that anything we face now is unsolvable. And if Texas wants a model for improving our schools, we need only to look to groups like this one and see how you all have faced problems. You all saw the need to reach out to kids before they might find themselves in trouble. And so you partnered with UT and the Longhorn Leaders Program was created. You all understood that resources weren't keeping up with demands in police and sheriff's departments. And so you worked with foundations and donors to provide needed funds. And you all grasped that basic common sense could save everyone time and money. And so you reached out to neighborhoods to improve the ways they communicate with law enforcement. True education reform demands such creativity. It needs new leaders who can put aside slogans, explore the widest range of solutions, and figure out the best ways to try whatever looks promising. A number of good changes are possible under the system we have right now. Some purists, both on the left and on the right, will have to sacrifice their dogma and embrace new ideas. But that's a relatively small price to pay and a comparatively easy battle to win. There's another issue that's much harder to talk about, let alone resolve. That issue, of course, is money. Whether there's truly enough, what more may be needed, and where to get it. Let's face it, there's not much downside for a politician to run for office in favor of education reform. But there's even less upside in discussing taxes, fees, or anything else that could provide more resources to our kids. But the time has come. In fact, it's long past for us to be as brave as our parents and our grandparents. It's time to have a candid conversation about what a successful education system truly looks like, what it costs, and how to pay for it. It's time for all of us to rise above the politics of promising something for nothing. If we care about our kids, and we care about the future of Texas, if we care about our state's health and public safety, and if we're better than those who would trade our long-term future for their short-term bottom line, then we must come together, tell the truth, stop pandering, and follow the example of earlier generations. Nothing and no one can accomplish anything great through shortcuts. Not a child, and certainly not a state or a nation. Our mission must be to create a system that allows all children to work productively and live prosperously in the 21st century. This shared goal will almost certainly require more money. And we can't keep dodging the question, however much we may be afraid of the answer. Instead, we must take the values we share, the best of ourselves, and do what is needed. We need to demand that the state truly invest in our education system, not just try to get by for as little as possible. We need to campaign for it. We need to prove we really believe it. And we have to rebuke the politicians who doubt our conviction. This is what we saw in our parents and grandparents. This is what we learned and must relearn from the trauma of September 11th. This is what it means to be a citizen. To leave Texas better than we found it. And to pass on an inheritance as great as the one we received. The next generation is upon us. Since 9/11, in just 8 years, about 33 million new Americans have been born. A population almost 50% bigger than all of Texas wasn't even alive on September 11th. And the oldest of those children just started the 3rd grade. What will that day of infamy mean for them? How will they remember us? Thank all of you. Thank you for all the good you do. God bless you, and God bless Texas and the United States.